Hello and welcome, my lovely little online family, once again to our regular weekly gathering on the virtual settee of YouTooSpain. Today we'll be chatting to our residency specialist and very good friend Chris from Upsticks.es, all about what happens next after you've got your Spanish visa, especially the non-lucrative visa. But we'll talk about anything else on the live chat about that, and anything else to do with moving to Spain and living there. And we always have something extra exciting for you at the end of our time together, including prizes for the best questions and comments, so stick around for that. If you've slept in and you're watching the recording of the show afterwards, you can find the time codes and chapter headings for each of the answers you need down here and in the video description below. But no, watch the whole chat. Why not? Come on, gather round. It's time for our little tune. Let's dance. Oh yes, give thanks once again to the groovy wizard Lee Spreadbury for our cosmic theme tune. Thank you, my darling. And there's a link to his channel below, his YouTube channel, which is marvellous. It's him playing a keyboard in lots of weird and wonderful places. It's lovely, and he's an amazing musician. So, before I bring in the lovely Chris, don't forget you can thank us for the important things you learned today by either clicking on the $ below or using one of the two links in the video description. With one, you can buy me a coffee. On the other, you can make a regular donation through Patreon, and that's especially for close members of the family like you. And it's where you get loads of extra videos and stuff. Don't tell anyone about that, will you? Just for you. And you can find loads of information as well, and articles and links on our website, YouTooSpain.com. Join the mailing list on there and I'll write to you every month. All right, my lovelies. So, finally, don't forget, if you're going to be moving and exchanging currency, you can get expert help from our great friends and members of our lovely family here, Smart Currency Exchange. They've got a link below and on our website too, just for you, and you get a free account with them and your own personal advisor. And using that link helps our YouTooSpain family. Okay, it's a really good way of supporting us and holding on to a great exchange rate. So it's a win-win. And if you want to learn more about exchange rates and how to save money on your shopping and lots of things, join me for the Monday live chat at Spanish 1 p.m. in the virtual Cafe of Cash, where we talk about what your savings and pensions are worth in different currencies. There you go. That's today's announcements. So without further ado, let's meet our wonderful guest. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hola, Chris.
Good morning. Hola.
How are you doing?
Not bad, thanks. Not bad. In another part of Andalusia today. Every time we do a live, it seems to be somewhere different.
Where are you now?
I'm in Castel de Ferro in Granada today. So
I've never heard of that one.
It's in the middle of nowhere. I can't show you the view from here. I don't know if you can see it.
It's
from our hostel. A bit white.
Very nice. It's a bit whitewashed, but that's all right. We get the
idea. Extremely small village. It's on the beginning. It's right at the beginning where the Invernaderos start, go towards Almeria.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were just come for the evening last night, but it's a really nice place. It's like a really small village, but by the sea. It's got villagey feel, but
very nice.
By the sea, so it's nice.
Lovely. Okay, so let's see who we've got on the chat today. Steve Knowles, morning, and Alan Lackenby, John Bentley, and Mr. Lower Largo. That's interesting. Top of the morning to everyone. You Irish, Mr. Lower Largo. Sounds like an Irish greeting to me. Welcome to you all. And have you got anyone to say hello to, Chris?
Yes, I was wanting to say I'm on my mobile, so my list, which is now building up, I haven't got it. But well done to Ian, who's from your town. What's the name of their going to be hotel? I've completely forgotten it now. Ian and Anthony.
Ian and Anthony. I've forgotten. I'll try and think about it while you carry on.
We'll have a look. So Ian, I saw him this week, and he got his residency. So well done. And I was with another watcher, Donna, yesterday in Montreal. So well done. She got hers. So just say hi and hi to everybody that I've spoken to this week. Really,
excellent.
It's been a busy week.
Good stuff. Anthony and Ian will be back on the show talking about the hotel anyway. So I'll mention that. I'll put it on the website. I'll just as soon as we've got. Anthony's had to work on Saturdays, so we were going to have him on a few weeks ago, but he's had to take out some work because Evidently, they've not opened the hotel yet. They were planning to open it for the summer, but as you know, these things take time in Spain to put a swimming pool in and get hotels opened up. So there you go. And of course,
They do.
they'll be on A New Life in the Sun talking about that when the next series comes out as well. So there you go. Let's get on with some questions then. We've had 5 from the social media, but let's start with some of the questions that I've got. So here we go. You're a third country national. You've got your visa. I imagine the first thing that you're going to do is leap up into the air and shout something happy, like I did when my Irish citizenship came through, because that's the moment that you know you're coming to Spain. It's happening now. But
Yeah.
so once that elation has subsided and the champagne bottle is empty, what should you do to prepare in terms of documentation, bureaucracy?
Yes, so I mean, the first thing, very, very first thing, is when you receive, as we know, like with the visas now, they've changed this sort of the collection stroke sending of visas out from the UK policy, and now all consulates are posting them out to people, including London, where you used to have to go and collect them. And we recently had some people go through Edinburgh who were slightly more flexible on that before. And they just blatantly said, no, we're keeping your passport, we're going to send it out. So the first thing is that now on all consulates, we've had to update the information we're giving people. They do not like to give you a passport back for you to go and put the visa in it. And if anybody has got an experience of doing that, it'd be great if we know in the chat, because it's great to keep a timeline of how they're reacting to things.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is, when you receive the visa, check the details on the visa. Make sure they're correct, make sure everything's spelt right, that your name's spelt right. And if you've never had an NIE number before, you'll have one on there. But if you have had an NIE number before, it's all you need to check that it's the same NIE number on your visa.
What do you do if the details are correct? If your name's wrong or your date of birth's wrong? I've seen some people on social media this week who said, "Oh, it's a nightmare. We've been waiting for ages, and the process has already taken 5 or 6 months. And then they sent me the visa, and it's got the wrong date of birth." What do you do?
Then you need to refer back to the consulate. Because what happens is you'll either have, if you've had an NIE number before, a registration on the National Police database, that's foreigners database, let's call it. And if you haven't ever had an NIE number before, you won't. So they'll either, when you get an elusive visa, they'll either relate that approval to your current registration. If there's any problems on there, then that will either translate to the new visa or be corrected during the process. And if it's a brand new registration, they normally take it from the application forms that you hand in. They are supposed to check against your passport, evidently, but we have seen in the past, and we saw it a lot with the withdrawal agreement as well, people who had maybe made mistakes on the application form and they've copied it from the application form, not passport, and then the mistake's been translated. So unfortunately, if you do get a mistake, you have to go back to the consulate and refer to them, because they would have to then update that with the registration with immigration in Spain and issue you with a visa.
Mm-hmm. How long does that take?
Luckily enough, we haven't had too many mistakes. Now, we had one where Barbara, she's probably watching as well today, in the same province where we are now, where they put the wrong dates of entry in it, and they returned it pretty quickly. But I'd imagine that would have been done in-house in the consulate, because they're the ones which control the dates. So in terms of mistake, it really depends on how long it takes immigration to respond, and evidently you're dealing with immigrations in different provinces, so it's a little bit piece of string. I'd imagine they'd get a pretty quick response. I do have a direct line. Again, this week when I was with Ian, he had an approval for residency. We got to the desk and they went, "Oh, it hasn't been approved." They forgot to hit the button, So then I was like, "Okay, well, let's I'll tell you what, we'll leave this. We're going to park that with you. You get it approved. I'm not driving back, so please deal with it, and we'll come back in a minute." So anyway, it took about an hour and a half. They had a direct line into immigration. They hit the button they were supposed to hit before, and everything was okay. So I imagine it shouldn't take too long, but you've got the process of sort of ducking the question of how long. So no one says to me, "Chris said it take a month, but it's taken 2." But I'd imagine that it would definitely take more than a week, but it really is down to the immigration who are dealing with the case.
Yeah, and which particular detail is wrong, I suppose.
Well, yeah, if it's if it's a name change, if it's a date of birth error, then that's a simple correction. If it's the fact that you've already had an NIE and you've registered a different NIE, then that could be slightly more.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so after checking your details, what's next?
Yeah, so next, then obviously, then you come to Spain, yay!
Yeah.
And one of the most important things when you come into the country is the entry stamp. Mm-hmm. Now, we've sort of we've done this on sort of there's three levels. So we've never had a problem with people who haven't had an entry stamp. To us, we've managed to push them all through, always. But the easiest and quickest way to get your visa registered when you go to the appointment here is to make sure that you've got an entry stamp which post dates the visa start date. Okay, mm-hmm. So that's really what they're looking for. That's, as we know, like we always talk about, don't we, on the show, the easiest with immigration, what you need to do is make it easy for them. Mm-hmm. You know, so they just want to see the tick box exercise and go, oh yeah, visa entry stamp. There you go. Okay, mm-hmm. So you need to get on your way in. It's only after Brexit you'd think that, you know, we've had problems with people who've gone through the airport and haven't got them. Mm-hmm. It's like it's like people don't want the stamps, and people they wave, and they're just waving people through. It's been a bit of a nightmare in that respect. But, and we don't know how that's going to work with ETIAS when that comes in. But at the moment, at the appointment, they're looking for the visa stamp, which postdates the start of the passport stamp, which postdates the start of the visa. So
can you get, if you're coming into France, for example, if you're coming over on the ferry, mm-hmm. Does it count from there, or do you have to get it stamped in Spain as well?
Good question. The best thing would get it stamped in Spain, but you can't do that when you're driving over. Now, with all the French ones we haven't had a problem, but what they have done on a few of them is they requested further proof of when people enter the country. So it could be anything from petrol, hotel receipts, etc., credit card statements, etc. We had one in Almeria a couple of weeks ago, when I spoke to you last on the live, where they came through France and they issued the residency from the start date of the visa because they didn't have an entry stamp into Spain. Okay, so that was another one, but that happened to coincide with the stamp anyway coming into France. In theory, if you don't get an entry stamp, what you can do, and we've done this on a couple of occasions, is you can go to a police station and get a thing called a declaración de entrada. So they don't actually issue appointments for this. You have to fight your way through, basically declare that you're here. They'll then give you a document which proves that you're here, although you're mm-hmm. in front of them. And then when you come to do your appointment, that'll be used as your entry stamp. As I say, for people who haven't managed to get them, we haven't had any problems, but it's maybe have taken a little bit more argy-bargy as such at the appointments.
So a question I was going to ask is the date of your entry into the country, the date on that stamp, is that yes. your date of residency?
That's your start date for the card, yeah. So.
Yeah, so that counts for people who are coming with their driving licence, and they've got 6 months from that, and that appears on your card as your...
Good point, yeah. So at the moment, they're taking the entry date stamp as the start of the residency, and evidently then you've got your 12-month renewal after that. So yeah, that would relate back to the driving licences with the 6 months.
Yeah, because some people were saying you can't do it until you've got your residency card, your TIE card, and then you've got 6 months after that. But that's not the case.
No. So what you have sometimes is quite depending on appointment availability, etc. When people come in with their visas and stuff, there could be quite a big gap between actually getting your visa and getting your residency card in your hand. But that brings us on to... Sorry, you had more questions.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, well, a basic one. What's the time scale? How long do you have to get into Spain once you've got your visa?
So you've got the visa period. So the visa lasts for 90 days. And we've seen that some of them have actually lasted for a bit longer. So you've got until your visa expires to get into Spain. Mm-hmm. And then once you're in Spain, you've, in theory, got 30 days to register the register the visa with immigration. In practice, that doesn't always happen. Mm-hmm. And again, because of appointment availability, etc. I mean, the official line from those is you've got 30 days, or if you've got an appointment that's booked within 30 days, which, because when you book your appointment, it's got the availability, it's got the day you booked it on the bottom. That's not a problem. Due to availability, we've had them, especially in the Alicante province, we've had them which have been 2 or 3 months and they've still accepted it because they've known what the appointment availability was. So it's always best to try and stick within what they tell you, which is to get in within the visa and register it within 30 days. But they're pretty good here at this ETIAS if they realise that there's been a problem, obviously getting appointments, etc.
And you can set your visa appointment. You can set a date in the future, which is going to be your entry date. So you've got 30 days after that when you say you're going to get there.
Yes. So your visa, when you go to your appointment, non-lucrative visa appointment, they'll ask you what is your expected entry date into Spain. When do you want to come into Spain? And that goes on box 21 of your national visa form. Funnily enough, we used to leave that when our clients, we send out a pack to our clients with all the forms, and we used to leave that blank and then discuss with them what we were going to put in a bit closer to the time. Recently, we've been leaving that blank actually for the appointment and being guided by the consulates, because every time we put something in there, the consulate decided they wanted to change it. So I said, right, okay, we're going to adapt to whatever the consulates want to put in there. So when people go to their appointments, they will say to you, when do you want to enter Spain? And at that point, at the appointment, it's best to put the date in there, guided by them.
Okay, so talking about appointments, actually, Stephen Walters is saying in the live chat there, any news on appointments for fingerprints? So I suppose any news on appointments across the board, really?
In Alicante at the moment, no. We're Alicante is terrible at the moment. We're literally morning, noon, and night trying to find appointments in Alicante for people, and they're just coming up as there's no appointments available at the moment. It was pretty similar around the rest of Spain. Areas that we've dealt with, we're dealing with currently. So Granada, Malaga, the appointments are running. They were pretty dead, and now they've suddenly come to life, but in September. Alicante hasn't got any at the moment. Murcia again already running in September, and we're starting to see a bit more movement with the appointments. London opened and closed their visa appointments yesterday for September, so hopefully soon Alicante will come on board.
Good. So it's very much depends on the area. Whereabouts are you, Stephen? Let us know and see if we can answer that one.
I can tell you Alicante.
Oh, can you? Oh, you've dealt with him. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he does say a big thank you to Chris for putting up with us further up the list.
No, don't. It's our job.
Brilliant. And Anthony and Kerry are on as well. They're a bit late in today. They've got a cooler morning. They're still in France, enjoying a cool breeze through the house. That's good for you. We had Liz was just taking our son to the airport very early this morning. She got back and there was a swarm of bees when she got back on the entry to the house. So it's not cooler here. I don't know if there was a swarm moving through, but they've gone now anyway. So that's my home news for the day. And Patrick Perkins says, Buenos dias, Skatz and Chris. Big thanks to Chris for all his help with our visa applications. Good stuff. So
it's been fun. It's been fun.
Good stuff. My question about appointments was going to be how do you book appointments for the next stage? This is presumably for people who want to do it themselves.
Yeah. So I think I gave you a link below, which I think which gives you will be in the description of the video. I think you said it there.
It is. Yeah.
And there's an online booking system there of the government, and if you're booking a visa. For non-lucrative visa, you want to book the appointment, which is called Toma de Huella, okay, which means taking of the finger, basically. And just be aware, though, that there is, unfortunately, there is in certain areas like Barcelona, people who use software to try and get appointments, and then sell the appointments on the black market. So the Spanish government are constantly updating their security systems on which makes it a nightmare for people like us who are trying to book 10, 15 appointments. So if you're two of you or a family of four, you have to be aware that you definitely need a Spanish mobile for it, probably a different email address, and to be honest, if there's more than four of you, you're going to have to use a different IP address for the last two,
Wow.
because it picks up IP addresses. Sometimes, like we had a run, Jane, who works for me, had a run on the appointments last week, and we've got 7 in Malaga with the same email, I think, the same mobile, no problem. But then, their security on the system tends to be fluctuates a bit. So yeah, be prepared to have more than one Spanish mobile and one email address, even if there's 2.
Mm-hmm. And how long in advance are the residency appointments taking at the moment? That's again different in different regions, isn't it?
Depends on the region. Again, this week, what day is it? Saturday. So yeah, Wednesday, Thursday, we booked a load for people who haven't got their visas yet. It's a massive delay at the moment to get visas, which is extremely frustrating. And with that in mind, we've already booked some for the end of September. For people because we saw them coming up. You can't cancel them. So that's. But we're already probably 7 weeks here in Malaga in advance. But then sometimes you can jump on. We had one last week where someone came over from Canada, hadn't registered, didn't have very long at all. We're talking like 2 weeks or something, and we managed to get them in the same week in Benalmádena. There's one popped up. We got it. So you've got to be pretty on the ball with these appointments.
Mm-hmm. And where do you go for your appointment?
You go to the Extranjería. Okay, so it's not. If you know, most all provincial capitals have an immigration office, and then around the province they'll have Extranjerías. And it will definitely, when you go on the appointment booking system, it gives you the address. Okay, so that's a good thing, and you get a PDF. Once you've booked the appointment, and on that, then all the information is on that PDF. You'll have a code on there which allows you to cancel it. You're going to have an email address on there. You'll also have the date that you booked the appointment, and obviously the date of the appointment, the address of where you need to go.
And is that always at the National Police Station?
Yeah, the National Police Station, which has a Extranjería foreigners office in it. Not all do, but yeah. So the National Police Station, I mean, evidently all provincial headquarters have it, like Almería, Malaga, Granada, and then you have the sub-delegations, like in Malaga, there's quite a few. Yeah. Alicante, there's quite a few. Murcia, not so many. So you could either go to the main one or one of the sub-delegations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's even a word in it. Is that a word in English? Subdelegación in Spanish.
Yeah, sub-delegation. That works for me.
Yeah. Okay.
And Stephen says, what happens if you can't get an appointment and you're over 30 days? I noticed visa has end date 13th of November is the time we have for appointments.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we actually just recently had one in Alicante, which the visa, because the visa is going to expire before but the appointment's been booked before the expiry date, and Victoria, who works with us up there, went to there and said, look, this just hasn't been the availability of the appointments, what's going on? And they said, that's fine, just let them come, and as long as we can see the appointment was booked before, there won't be a problem. So the Extranjerías at the moment, we're in, this year is a very strange year because it's sort of the first, shall we say, normal year back after COVID, after Brexit. Last year certainly wasn't a normal summer as you would have seen it with the Extranjerías, and so we're getting used to now what the rhythm is with the appointments again. Hopefully there'll be no more pandemics or anything to influence that. So yeah, as I say, if you can't get an appointment, you just can't get one. So when you go to the appointment, they're normally pretty forgiving.
Yeah, good stuff. What documents do you need then for? Is it the same documents you use for your visa appointment, or can you throw those away and it's all new?
Throw them away. No, don't throw anything away. I get that from you. Don't throw anything away. No, scan it all. Keep it locked in the key. No, the documents are different. So, and this brings us nicely on to another point I really wanted to make about proving your address, because I see a lot on Facebook, and we'll try and explain all the it depends. Yeah. So initially, when you go with your visa, you need a photo, and check the photo sizes on the National Police's website, on the foreigners website, because they're different to your passport photo. Always remember that if you've used a photo before for a document which is over 6 months old, like your passport, the police are going to pick up on that, see the photos over 6 months old, not accept it. So always best to get new photos. Evidently, the original passport, you need the application form, which you can download from, again, that same website. It's an EX17 for the Tom of the Weir appointments. And there's a £7.90 tax form as well that you have to pay at a bank before you go. So the main thing is your passport, your application form, and your taxes paid. Again, crazy situation with the bank. Some banks will let you do it depending on who you bank with through the machine. Some banks you have to go in. At the moment, a lot of banks have this crazy timetable where you can only go in and use their behind the counter services between 9:25 and 10:45 or something on a third Tuesday in the month or something. So, just if you don't leave it before the 2 days before the appointment. Oh, I've got to go pay the tax, because then you might find you've got a problem.
Sounds like the phone times for contacting the Irish Inland Revenue. It's, theirs is between 10:30 and 11:30 on a Tuesday. That's all you've got, and they never answer the phone.
We have a specific time with our bank, because my bank evidently hates me because we go in with piles of these taxes because we prepay them for our clients, and which means when you go to the appointment, it's just one appointment. You have to go out, do whatever you need to do, and because we turn up with a pile, just like, God, here he comes again. I can just see the look in the cashier's face every time I walk indoors. She's like, So, but yeah, so check that. And then obviously now we always take, and it's quite funny because they always give them back. And then I did an experiment yesterday. It worked. We always take a photo of the passport page, a photo of the visa page, and a photo of your entry stamp. Okay, and we always tell clients, please bring a copy if we haven't got decent copies. If not, we'll bring them with us. In theory, they should be in black and white. You shouldn't make colour copies of personal ID documents. Oh. And every time we go to an appointment with those three documents, they always hand the entry stamp and the visa copy back to us, And I said, I'm sure the day that we don't take one, they're going to ask for it. And it happened yesterday in Montreal. And when I was with Donna, who's probably watching, I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep these two to one side because I was there. I don't often get out on the appointments that much. So talking to the guys who are on the road, they're going, why do you keep doing this? Because they keep handing them back. So I kept it to one side and I thought, well, I wonder if he's going to ask. And lo and behold, guess what? He asked for them. So always take those anyway. Prepared. It's always better if you walk away with paperwork. So take those three documents.
I've used a colour photocopy of when we went to my appointment of my passport.
Yeah. I mean, they accept colour photographs. In theory, you should always be black and white. They don't normally have too much of a problem if you go with colour. But if it is a personal ID document of any sort and you're using it in any official organisation, and I know that once because many years ago I got in trouble for taking a colour one and told me, and they said, oh, regulation, blah, blah, blah. So do black and white now.
Fair enough. Rules and regulations. We're very hot on that in Spain. Okay, so I get to some of the questions on social media, actually, because some of those people will be watching. First one actually is from our mate Stephen Proctor over in Locher. No, actually, he's not actually in Locher. He's in a small village just outside. And the reason I mention that is because I don't think he's going to be watching because they've got the Ferrier ongoing, and I saw a note from his wife Mandy saying it's 4:30 in the morning and at last everything's gone quiet. So I don't suppose he's going to be up this morning reading this. But anyway, he's talking about autonomos, and there's going to be new rates of autonomo, as both of us know, from the 1st of January next year. According to Stephen, is when they're going to implement that. He says, Are they going to keep this, what he's called the born-again autonomos? What he's doing is they're switching every 3 years for him and his wife to be the autonomo. And that means that when they've waited for 3 years and switch again, they get to start at the flat rate, at the very low rate of monthly social security payments. And the question is that going to continue?
I think, I'll be honest with you, there's a few points there. I don't think that's something that probably the government encourage because they'd be losing I don't think that's so. That'd be very clever accounting, probably for Antonio, working out how that's taking advantage of the minimum rate or autonomo. So, in terms of are they going to keep that, I don't think they ever put it in place, encouraging people to do it in the first place. I wouldn't imagine, but it is something you can do, I'm sure. The autonomo rates, which are going up, I actually only got the PDF from the Association of Autonomos, etc., the other day, and I haven't had a proper chance to have a look at it. But from what I can tell, is the autonomo rates are going to start running in line with the contractual social security payments that an employee would have to make, depending on the salary. Yeah, so as an employee, you have to pay a certain amount to Social Security for the hours and contracted salary of the person who's working for you. At the moment, autonomos used to be able to pay the minimum autonomo rate, but then earn a lot more. So I think what they've done is they've brought the payments that somebody who's an autonomo make in line with what you would pay if you were contracted, which isn't fair, but because we get a lot more stress. But no. So there's that, and then in terms of the it depends really. I mean, what your situation is. I said we spoke offline, didn't we? I mean, I could never do that with my wife because I want to get a pension here. Yes. So it interests me to keep autonomo and keep paying, and God knows what the pension will look like by the time I'm 65. But I'll be up for 35 years because I've been paying in the system since I was 20. So
same here.
If I don't know also how that works regarding your social security contributions in getting healthcare. I'm sure if you signed off for 3 years, that may have a negative effect. But if you've got a spouse who is paying into the system, then you should be able to write off the back of those. I'm sure there'd be something administrative you'd have to do there as well.
Yeah. Okay then. Thanks for that one, Stephen. And good luck with sleeping over the next few nights. And,
I'm going next day. I'll be there today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, lovely. Yeah. Give them a hug from me.
I won't see Stephen, I don't think, because he's going to be in bed, but I'm going to be passing through. So.
Yeah, I'll have to go out and visit them because they, as some of our watchers know, they looked after Liz and I when we first arrived, and they were absolutely lovely to us. So let's get on to the next question. This is from Ruth Collins. I'm actually going to see Ruth Collins. She's going to be in Competa later on, so we're going to be meeting up for a drink with her and her husband. Cool. So she is thinking she got married recently. She got married since her first visa. So should she change her name prior to the year 2 visa renewal, or just wait until after year 5?
Oh, good. You will. So when you've changed, so basically this all relates back to your passport. Okay. So what you can do, whatever name is on your passport, your personal ID document, is what should figure on your residency card. And if there's any change in that circumstance, then you have to inform immigration and basically update your card, but at least inform them. So imagine Ruth is on her first year. So as soon as she gets her passport back with the new name, if she's changed her name on the passport, then she'll need to inform immigration, evidently using the new passport and proof of the marriage, which would be depending on where you got married. If you got married in the UK, it would be your marriage certificate, apostilled and legally translated. You can actually submit and update your circumstances online if you've got a digital certificate on the Mercura platform with immigration, and then the following year, when she comes to renew her visa, as long as they've read the online application, they should then, when they do issue the resolution for the renewal, then they should issue it in her new name.
So you've got to kind of time it quite well. If your passport's going to run out on the run up to your renewal, might be a good idea to renew it early.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you should. I would say that once she's got her ducks in a row regarding the new passport and the marriage certificate, apostilled, and depending on how recently she got married as well. Remember, any marriage certificate that gets submitted to immigration has to be dated within the last 90 days.
It was very recent. It was a very recent marriage. It was this year.
Right. Well, then, yeah, what she could do is get that submitted on the platform, the Mercurial platform. We've been doing it with for people quite recently. And then when they come through their residency card in a year, because she'll be on her first year, then she should get the renewal through in a new name.
There we go. Good stuff. See you later, Ruth. I don't know if she's watching. And let's move on to the next question before we get back to the process. And we've got one from Ben Cly, who is asking, oh, this is all about waiting times for applying for the non-lucrative visa in Manchester. No sign of any visa yet. All right, so they've had the appointment and they're waiting for the visa to come through. People are talking about Spain hasn't issued any visas for 5 weeks, some waiting 7 weeks. Yeah, any updates would help a lot.
Pulling our hair out, that's the update. Yeah, what he's saying there is correct. Yeah, at the moment, there's a massive backlog in getting the visas back. Whether it's related to summer, we don't know yet. I spoke to immigration here, I spoke to immigration in Granada. The consulates, what's happening is the consulates are getting hammered and it's not actually them. So we had this whole, strike thing, which was causing delays for the visas, which was through the consulates. And now they're back up and running, all at top speed. And now immigration in Spain seem to be causing the delays, actually sending the resolutions out. So yeah, some people have been waiting 5 to 7 weeks for their visas. The normal turnaround, I mean, after the strike and before these sort of delays, we were getting them in 2 or 3 weeks. And then suddenly, post-June, early July, it's been like pulling teeth, really, to get the visas through. We've had a couple that have dropped in, but we've got so many people waiting at the moment for visas. It's a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, the update is that at the moment we're still waiting for them to be issued. But the consulates are getting slightly frustrated themselves. We try again. We're trying to get hold of London and get anything from them. And they are processing them. So when it goes into the mix, you can track it and you'll see in Tramite. And as long as it's in Tramite, it means it's with immigration in Spain. So there's no point hammering the consulate because they're waiting for the same information that basically you are for that status to change. So yeah, but there is delays.
Fair enough. Here we got on the live chat. The Pink Harley says, I hope to get my EU passport. It will be in my maiden name with a mention of married on a different page. My Spanish NIE is in my married name. I need to update EU, and do I need to change my name? Is that going to cause problems?
Yeah, so you're, again, with the EU, it's slightly different because you do that directly with the Estangeria, where you go to register the, so where you go to register the NLV, your non-lucrative visa, it's the same office that you go to do directly to do an EU residency application. It's a different appointment you have to book. But whatever name change you've had on your passport, as soon as that photo page on your passport is what should reflect your residency card. Yeah, so if there's a name change on there, you have to go to them and update it with the relevant document. Yeah, so when, excuse me, when, for example, I got married to Lara, she had the old A4 document, residency document, and we had to go with the marriage certificate and the libro familiar, because we got married in Spain, to the Estangeria and get everything updated, so she got an updated residency card.
Okay, so it looks like they've got the NIE and it's in the married name, but they're hoping to get a passport and they want to have the passport in their maiden name. That sounds like it's going to be
in reverse. That's in reverse, isn't it?
Yeah, I would put the EU passport in your married name. Oh, unless you're not married anymore.
Is there part of the story we're not getting there?
No, it says it'll be in my maiden name with a mention of married on a different page. So she's still married. I'd get it in your married name. If your Spanish NIE is in your married name, then it would make sense, wouldn't it?
whatever happens, so if you've got an NIE in previous married name and you've maybe got married again but kept your whatever. I don't quite get the story there, so I can't see the notes either. But your residency card.
She's not resident yet. She says I'm non-resident and hope to apply the same as me and Liz. So yeah, but you've already got the NIE.
Yeah. You have to use whatever documents you've used. So. Let's look at it. If you look at it logically as a timeline, whatever circumstance you had when you registered your NIE number, which dictated that your passport had that surname on it, and that's why you got your NIE number. Whatever's happened along the timeline to change that and to change the name in your passport, you have to prove to make sure that the residency card matches your passport. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you've been divorced, married, wanted to keep your maiden name or whatever, that would all have to be proved when you come to update your details with immigration.
Okay. So yeah, does that make sense, Pink Harley? She's on the live chat. She says she's
that makes sense.
Still married. Okay. We'll come back to you on that one. Let's go to we've still got a lot of talk. I'll leave the next two online ones and come back to those a little bit later on. So let's go back to the process of when you've had your appointment or you're going to have your appointment. Anything to bear in mind that might not seem obvious?
Yeah, so we spoke about the basic documents, and now with just a quick touch on proof of address, because this comes up all the time. Now, it's one of these it depends situations. Do I need a Padron? Don't I need a Padron at time of the way appointment? And what happens in different provinces, different people plan their staff for different things. The best way when you go to register your visa to make sure that you don't have any problems with the address is to have a Padron. Okay, so that's the green tick in the box. You can get a Padron, that's great. Take it to your appointment. People long-term rentals and people who own property shouldn't have to do that. But what we do know is that people don't always have that opportunity because they've just arrived in Spain, they haven't had a chance to get a Padron certificate. And in those circumstances, it really depends on where you're going and where you actually initially registered your visa to start with. So we try and get everybody who's going to set province to register their visa in that province, even if it's a correspondence address. Because at the moment in the NLV appointments, they're not asking for proof of why you're using that address. Simply because if you're registered with that immigration and you go without a Padron but have now got a different address, normally, if it's the first time registration, they don't mind updating it without a Padron. Evidently, when you do get a permanent address, you then have to update your information immigration. So when going to the appointment, basically, if you haven't got a Padron, then and it's impossible to get one, it's always best that you've registered in said province. You know, so if you put on your NLV application form, you're going to Murcia, but you end up going to Sevilla, and you haven't got a Padron, then you could have a problem.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it. I mean, you don't need to have any of the proof with you from the initial. It's already pre-approved. You know, the stage 2 in theory should be pre-approved. When you go to the appointment, the guys are just there to verify who you are when you come to the country, make sure everything's correct in the immigration.
Mm-hmm. How long does the appointment take?
How long? I mean, if you go to, it's a game where you go to Malaga, they churn them out pretty quick. You know, there's in Malaga, the headquarters in Malaga, which is that really intimidating building. Build them to be intimidating. They've actually got the they handle some of the weighers now in the first office on the right, and it's so much better. And they crank them out. You know, it's just in and out. It's brilliant. It's a fantastic office. It's big. It's airy. And then the old office that they used to use, which is down this narrow corridor and to the left, which is awful, is now just for EU, NIEs and stuff like that. So So yeah, I mean, I've been in appointments which have taken an hour because people can't, fingerprints aren't working, the machine's rubbish, and I've been in appointments where they couldn't get applicants. So generally, as a set rule, and we have to take the appointments you get, so you don't. It's not, and it's extremely difficult once we sometimes have people. Oh, can we just have like third Tuesday? Tuesday third. I'm like, we just can't do that. You've got to get what you get. If you can, and you have the luxury of going somewhere and not doing an appointment between 10 and half 11, that's probably a good idea. So whenever he goes to breakfast.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Are there any common mistakes that people make, or common objections that come through from the officials?
Mainly is to make sure you pay the right taxes. You've got to make sure you pay the right taxes on the tax form. There's about 30 different boxes you can click, so make sure you pay the right ones. Make sure you take original documents. People not actually take copies, not actually original documents. Passport is key. Now, as long as you've actually got the original passport with the visa in it, everything else in theory could be managed from there. Even if it's best to go prepared, but if you didn't, depending on how nice the person is you're dealing with, they can manage it, giving you the application forms and taxes to go and pay. Definitely the photos are something you have to look at. Get new photos and get them done by estancerías, and normally have photo shops next door, because people, very enterprising people, generally set up close. But definitely get new ones done. They're slightly smaller than the passport sizes, and go to someone where it says carnet. I'll give you a link actually to an article that we wrote on that. And get new photos. That's the.
Yeah, I think we've got that link on the YouTooSpain website already. Cool. But yeah, send me that one anyway, and I'll put it on this video. Okay, let's get back to the online questions then. Let's see what we have. Question number 4. Now, this is it's a long-winded one, so I think I've written down a little shortened version. So this is Mark Gwynell. So he's not resident. He's UK passport holder. He has a Spanish partner. He's 59. She's 65. They're not married. He's been going over and living, within the 9180 rule. They're obviously madly in love, and they want to live together in Spain. He wants to live there permanently. She's fairly well off. She's got 2 properties, and she can support him. He's got a work pension at the moment, so he's not got his state pension. So he's not got enough on his own to come in on the NLV, but she can support him. Is that possible? Can they show that, even though they're not?
No, it'd be better if they're married. I mean, look, you can make an EU family members application from within Spain using any proof that you're a stable couple, and it's down to interpretation of immigration. But certainly, it's a lot easier if you're married and there's longevity in the marriage as well. So it's not just they get married the day before. But we've seen it where people have been married but had short marriages, have had problems because they haven't presented enough proof other than the marriage certificate. That they are, should we say, we saw one that was rejected because they thought it was convenience marriage to get for an immigration status, which was terrible. But certainly it would be a lot easier if they were married, because they would have a registry document proving that legally he was entitled, to the support, financial support she could give him. So it's extremely hard if you're not married.
Yeah, but
if you're in love, let's have a YouTooSpain wedding. Let's do it.
Yeah, go for it.
I know a musician who can play them.
Yeah, I wonder who that could be. Brilliant. So I hope that answers your question, Mark. It's get married. We're ordering you to get married. Are there other ways? Is there any other way to
pareja de hecho? Sorry, they could do pareja de hecho in Spain. So they want to get married.
They still have to prove the kind of longevity of their relationship. They've still got to have lived together for about 12 months, and he can't do that because he can only come for 90 in every 180 days. So
we put in as much as we possibly can. I mean, we just did it's not exactly the same as what they'll do, because they can do theirs within Spain. But we did a reunification visa for somebody recently, and they hadn't been married a year, but we had lots of proof when they were traveling together. For example, places they'd been, we had we had everything, hotel receipts, we had proof that they'd been together, financials which they shared and stuff like that. And that's a lot harder to get one of those than it is the EU one, and they approved it. So that's good. That person's got to go now and get their visa from the consulate and come in and do the Toma de Huella. So it's not impossible, but it's best to get as much proof as possible. Anything, council tax bills together, financials together, even proof of travelling together. So when immigration look at it, they can see that you're a stable person.
So you can't get somebody to kind of sponsor you and sign a document saying, yes, my finances are theirs as well.
You can. I mean, look, you can with the visa platform as well. They sometimes they actually ask for a notarized document, which a declaration to say that I will sponsor this person and be responsible for them. Okay, definitely. If you haven't been married very long, it's a good idea to do. So the non-lucrative visa, we haven't seen it much, but on a couple of occasions, more recently, we saw where they said they wanted further proof, although there was a marriage certificate there, that people were going to sponsor their spouse, and that was declaratory towards a notary in the UK. That has to be apostilled and translated. So that would definitely help. If and you could try and get the residency, but ultimately it's down to using that. Ultimately, it's down to the person in immigration whether they accept it or not.
Okay, good. And we have Brian Spark. I love it when he sends messages. Brian, I always think it says brain spark. That gets me every time. Anyway, that's me. So this question, there's two questions on here actually. The first one is about the non-lucrative visa renewal, and it's apparently advice is still being given out in some quarters that you only need 1 year's worth of EPREM at your renewal for years 2 and 3. And he's saying, what do you think about that? That's his first question.
I think that anybody is careful what I say on this front. No, it's 2 years. So it is 2 years. I think if you are assessing anybody's 5-year plan, it's irresponsible to tell them it's 1 year on the renewal, because the belts and braces approach is always to have 2 years. So in terms of stuff that we've submitted, and we've recently started now getting the renewal approvals back, we've always submitted it with 2 years, whether that be if we're talking, there's two levels, don't forget. We've got passive income, you've got savings 3, or a combination of both. Evidently, passive income is, let's call it annually renewable on your income. So if you can't prove 2 years of passive income because it's something that comes in a monthly basis. So in that respect, if you're submitting an application for the renewal, you can count annual passive income as double.
Yeah.
And if you're submitting a renewal, it'd be a good idea also to explain that to immigration. You can write an escrito. There's things I always talk about and say, this is this and this is what it adds up to, make it easy for them. If you're working on a base of savings, only savings, I would say definitely have double, definitely. Immigration in Malaga confirmed that with us, definitely in Alicante as well, have confirmed it with us. I think this is referring to Almeria and the video that was out there once from Almeria. Again, we asked Almeria twice and they haven't confirmed back to us, but I would definitely say double would be better if you're using savings.
I think it was wishful thinking when they were talking about that, and of course some papers picked it up and said, yeah, it's fine now, you only need 1 year. So
we always talk about the interpretation, and it depends. Yeah, so you've got to always, belts and braces it is the best approach with it. It depends. Now if you're also using a combination of passive income and savings, definitely get whoever's helping you or do it yourself, write a letter to explain what that adds up to. So if you're bumping one up to the other, just have it simply written down. This is the passive income, this is the savings, this is what it relates to a VPREM.
Yeah, perfect. So second part of Brian's question is, after you've arrived with your non-lucrative visa and you've applied for your TIE and Padron, you're waiting for the appointments, is it legal to leave Spain to visit either another EU Schengen country or B, a non-EU country, like going back to the UK, for example?
before getting your visa appointment. So
Yeah,
if you've
well,
got your
no. So
visa,
you've arrived. No, you've got your visa. You're in Spain, and you're waiting for your TIE appointment for your residency appointment.
mhm,
And you've made the residency appointment. Can you leave the country and come
yes,
back in? Yeah.
yes, yeah, of course you can. Yeah,
Would that be a
yeah, but
problem because you've only got one visa stamp and you've already had, they've stamped on your way in? Would that
Yeah, we've
cause
had
a
people
problem?
doing that, and they've taken the last date. Actually, to be honest with you, so that's fine. So good people come in and out. They've come in to organise themselves. Just stay within. Remember, until you get your residency, you have to stay within your Schengen allowance. That's all. So as long as you stay within your Schengen allowance before you've registered your NLB, then you're fine to go in and out. We have had people do that, and then when they've gone to their appointment, they've taken the last stamp in the passport as the start of residency.
Okay. Be quite handy then, especially for people who want to carry on driving for another few months. Just pop out and get another stamp.
But you've got to remember, obviously, you've got the time scales. You've got to get your NLB registered. I mean, it's always best to get the NLB registered as soon as possible, especially with the scarcity of the appointments at times. So,
Good
but
advice.
but yeah, certainly, if you're starting a new life in Spain, is like what we're talking about now. The correspondence address for the envelope that you give to the consulate may be different to what you use on your application forms because you're in transit from one address to another, and they understand.
There we go. I don't know if we answered the Pink Harley's question completely, and she's just had a few notes back there. I would say, Pink Harley, get in touch with Chris, and because there sounds like there's some extra questions and answers that need to be looked at there to do with your married name and different passports. She's going to be a dual passport holder, and
Okay.
so yeah, it's all to do with your passports.
Just changing the name and the nationality on the NIE, that'd be a good one.
Yeah, yeah. Let's have a report back on that
Yeah.
when that's being done. So, what part of the process are we at? Is it so you've made your appointment, you've had your appointment? Is it then just a matter of waiting for your TIE card?
Yeah, so now, which was the last thing I had on my notes, is the famous resguardo. So the resguardo document is once you've had your appointment, it's all been successful, they give you a document which proves that you're resident in Spain, you're registered as a resident in Spain, and this document is called a resguardo. Okay. Now, the resguardo you can use administratively to do anything that you can do with your TIE card when you get it. Okay. Notwithstanding, not all government offices, administrative places, and private entities understand what it is. Okay, so we had an awful lot of problem, for example, with actually the stupidest thing in the world, they're getting Spanish number plates made up. So vehicles which are registered, you then have to officially go to somewhere who's official to get them made up. They're normally spares places. They just wouldn't understand that this resguardo was a valid document. So we go on behalf of our clients. I'm like, here we go. Look, they're registered. No, we've got to wait for the TIE. So you don't have to wait for the TIE. This is a valid document. My boss says we do. So you may come against that. That was that. We resolved that issue after I spoke to his boss. But you can imagine that although that document does allow you to do anything you need, especially also obviously if you're importing goods and you're working with an import agent to get stuff through tax-free, that's definitely going to be a document you're going to have to show to prove that you've registered your NLV, your visa. But just be aware that although I'm saying, yeah, go and use it now, but you may come up against some resistance depending on what you do.
So, anything else we need to mention about the process?
No, that's about it. So you remember when you go to pick up the car, always safe to leave it. I mean, everybody says a month, but we always try and leave it 4 to 5 days before you go and get the card. There are sort of once of the year, like now, evidently in summer, and then and in English, they generally take a lot longer to come through. And yeah, basically, just when you get your resguardo, they're going to either give you an appointment there and then to come back. Okay, so places like Granada, Motril, not Granada capital, and Murcia give you a set appointment there and then to come back, and you actually have to just stand in a queue You could say, come at 9 o'clock, you show it to the grandmother, you stand in a queue, and you go with your passport and your resguardo and pick up your card. Other places like Malaga, you have to book a separate appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So just be dependent on the appointments, because sometimes they do jump around wildly. You might have to look straight after your initial appointment to get your pickup appointment in 45 days' time. There's a number on there called a Lottie number. And again, there's certain places in Alicante that actually publish them online. Depending on where you're going, there's some Facebook groups where you can actually just jump on and see what Lottie number it is. Or like in Malaga, for example, you actually have to ask at the door. So your Lottie number is the card batch of which your cards are in. And if you can see that that's in at this time for the
There you go. Okay. I did say to some people I was going to do an update on the driving license swap negotiations. So I'm actually going to put up this the latest message. Normally it's the ambassador that comes on and puts a message up, but this one is from where is it? It's from the Department for Transport, the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State, Minister Carl McCartney. There you go. Any relation to Paul? I doubt it. So basically, I'm not going to read the whole message, but they're saying, yes, the UK government has engaged in these negotiations in good faith and ensured that Spanish drivers in the UK have, as always, encountered no limitations nor inconvenience in their ability to drive. We have similar arrangements in place. Actually, they're basically blaming the Spanish for kicking their heels because they've asked for additional elements, whereas 24 other EU member states have already put the arrangements in place to do the swap really, really easily. It's Spain that's dragging their heels, so they're giving a bit of blame out at the moment. But they're saying, it's all right, we understand, everybody's had trouble and you're frustrated and it's had a severe impact on your everyday lives, and you remain in the front of our minds for the Department for Transport's negotiation teams. Yeah, I bet they do. And we'll have you back on the road as soon as possible. So, who knows how long it's going to be now, because nothing's going to happen until September, really, administratively wise. And then there's the parliamentary. In the UK, it's got to be signed in on the UK, and of course the UK's party conferences start on about the 21st of September. So there's several weeks there where Parliament doesn't do very much anyway. So a lot of people are estimating that it could be next year by the time anything happens. What do you reckon, Chris?
I keep my opinions to myself.
Yeah, good.
It won't be bad. I mean, look, as you say there, no one else has asked for it in relation to driver licence. So you're going to sit around the negotiation table and say, well, Italy didn't ask for that, so I can't understand why you need it. Please.
Yeah.
Let's get on with it. That's a ridiculous statement. No one else has asked for it.
Yeah.
It's a sovereign nation space. It's a negotiation. Whether it between two governments, and whether 24 member states have asked for something that haven't asked for something in Spain has. I'm afraid you've got to get over that. Give them what they need and get it done. And that's that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Anyway, let's move on.
There we go. So, Carl, get over it.
Just imagine, think, well, Italy didn't ask for that. Or I don't think Italy have got an agreement, have they? But it's like, come on. Stop the tit for tat blaming. I believe that they're asking for vehicle driver information. But if everybody abides by the law, what's the problem anyway? I don't understand. Give them what they need. Give them what they need to keep the roads safe. If they want to get people back on.
Yeah.
Stop blaming the Spanish.
So the advice that we had when we had the two Ruths on recently on the show, the advice is just book a driving test as soon as you get here. And just get yourself a license that way. Don't wait for the governments to pull their finger out, really.
No, especially when they start doing the blame game. It's just we're all adults. I mean, that's I get just that from my 5 and 8-year-old.
That's true. Jason says reminds us that ETIAS has been delayed until November 2023. Good news for holidays until then. Yeah, you've saved a £5 to get yourself a piece of paper, and there you go. So that's not going to change very much, I suppose. Somebody was saying online, why is it taking so long? I said, well, you've got the whole of the EU, all of those different countries, all of them have got lawyers, all of them have got to install in their airports new systems, new computer systems. They've all got to be trained on how to use them. It's a whole administrative and technological nightmare to implement this kind of system. So it's going to take a while. And there's no kind of conspiracy theory about why it's taking so long to implement. It's just bureaucracy, you know. So that's my answer to that one. There we go. Any more questions from you on the live chat there? Phil Quantrill says hi. He's only just arrived to watch us, but there he says hi, Chris.
Hey, Phil.
So, well, prizes. I'm sure we haven't given out a prize for a few weeks. I can't remember.
No, let's do it. Let's give out some prizes. Come on.
Yeah. How about the Pink Harley? Because yeah, Pink Harley. Get in touch with Chris, and or send an email to me, info@YouTooSpain.com, and we'll sort you out a prize. Who else do we have on? That's we'll have somebody new. Who else is on there? Oh, Stephen Walters. He's not had one yet.
I'll send Stephen a prize. I know where Stephen lives. We'll get him a prize up there. Go on, Stephen. We'll get him. I know. I've got his address.
Brilliant. We know where you live, Stephen.
We know where you live, so we'll send him a prize. So.
Oh, John Nelson's up here. It's, John is now watching my first live show from Scotland in daylight, as opposed to the New Zealand nightmare. Thanks for another great show. 4 weeks and counting till Andalusia. Can't wait to see you. And he's coming to the festival that we're going to as well. So we're going to meet up while watching music on a big stage. So can't wait.
I've got a couple of friends going, actually, coincidence. One of the parents from who's the main architect of Ayuntamiento in Malaga. He was like, I'm going as well. I'm like, it's going to turn into a party. This is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we're on the kind of what is it, the VIP area as well, just with a few of us. So we'll have to kind of drag them up into the VIP area.
That's it. I call it the old and knackered bit, because it's when you go to a festival, you need about 10 minutes downstairs. You want to go back upstairs.
Yeah. You can't be bothered to use the toilets on the ground level.
Yeah, no. You have to go up and have a rest now.
Brilliant. So yeah, can't wait for that. Looking forward to meeting you properly, John. So that's all of the questions, and I'll tell you what's going to happen next week in a minute. But first, let's give Chris a big virtual hug and a thank you for being marvellous and helpful. Thanks again, Chris.
Thanks for having me on, guys, again, and yeah, we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you in 2 weeks' time. So,
in 2 weeks.
Cheers for now. Take care. Okay, excellent. What a lovely chat. And next week on the Cozy Family Settee, we will have something equally exciting and informative, but you're going to have to wait and find out what that is, because it's not been confirmed yet. I've got one or two guests sort of lined up who are deciding on a date, so I'm not going to announce that right now, but sign up onto the Facebook group, or just watch for, or subscribe, because I'll send out a message to subscribers. Best subscribe anyway if you haven't already, and click on the notifications bell, and you'll be the first to find out whatever we're doing next. So if I don't see you in the virtual Cafe of Cash on Monday, I'll see you next Saturday at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland, 10 o'clock if you're in Spain already, or 4 o'clock in the morning if you're on the east coast of America. And my lovely wife Liz says hi. You can join her for a free virtual yoga and meditation on her YouTube channel, YouTube Yoga. And the link is now definitely below with the other ones. I keep saying the link is below, but on a lot of the old videos it's not there. There you go. Phil Condrill says, you're as bad as my missus. I have a surprise but cannot tell you. There you go. Bye to everybody on the live chat. And somebody sweep up the crumbs from around this pool, and because those cookies get everywhere. And tidy up the coffee cups. Honestly, I can't take you anywhere. Right, let's all head into the virtual Spanish pool and have a dip. It's still really hot out here. Temperatures are in the 30s. And peace and love to you all. And are you ready to dance? let's get ready. Where's the music? Here it is. Bye bye for now. Peace and love.